So today we are going to be talking about the element relational to creation and the principles of the element. So this we discuss how the element is relational to creation, how everything water. So the element to be discussing is fire. As everybody know, water, air, and earth. This is the four elements everybody are familiar with, but there is a fifth element, that is the ether. From this ether is where fire originated. The ether is what is holding all the elements. It can also be known as spirit. The spirit behind everything. The spirit behind creation. So in the beginning, you see, I write fire, water here. In the beginning, for you to be able to discuss the element, and be able to know how it relates to creation, you have to first of all understand the beginning of the element. So how does this element begin? How does creation begin? Creation begins, first thing there was light, which is fire. Because the world begins in void. Everything, it was total darkness, then this awareness spark, and this light gave awareness to this void. This void is darkness. So that is where the beginning of light comes. That is why I draw fire. That is fire. The beginning of light. So this fire dissolves this void. And when this fire dissolve this void, it makes it, because when you bring rubber and you heat it, what happens? It dissolves. So something that is void, when heavy fire, hotness hits it, it intends to dissolve. So when it dissolves, it turns into water. So that is where we get water. So that is where we get water. So on a typical sense, people always see triangle. And they ask, what does triangle always mean? Every spirituality, there is always triangle, 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 triangle. Now, the triangle represents fire, water, and ether. This fire, water, and ether. These are the three major elements we have. That is the three major elements. After fire, there was water, and ether is what is holding fire and water together. That is the spirit. That is the thing that are inside. And this ether is what people refer as God. That is where people call God the creator, because everything manifested inside this ether. The light manifested, when the light manifested, it gave awareness. The light, this fire. So there will be creation without fire, without this light. And there won't be light without darkness. That is, this darkness turns into water. So water is categorized as darkness, while fire is categorized as light. So, because when this void dissolves, there is darkness. Water is darkness, then fire is the light. So this is the first. So the origin of, you have to understand. So now when fire dissolves, and it dissolves this when fire dissolves this void and it's turned to water, do you know what's grow? What grow is air. Because there is a space in between. Now, remember, when they void, it was void. Everything was accumulated, just accumulated. The way you close your eyes, without breathing, you see void. So imagine a fire blasting into that void and dissolving that void and making it liquid. So there is a space like this. For instance, now, let me clean this. For instance, now, this is what I'm saying. So let's say this triangle. This triangle is the void. So this light blasts. When this light blasts, this thing blasts, that is the light. That is the fire. The light, that is the fire. When this light blasts, so this thing, it begins to dissolve. So when this thing dissolves, it dissolves and turns into water. That is this water. which you can categorize as darkness. And this is also where the masculine and the feminine energy come together. When you realize there is always feminine and masculine energy. So the masculine is the fire, the feminine is the water, that is the darkness, the masculine is the light. So, and there's, whenever you see light, masculine and feminine, there's something always holding them together. Because in you, there is a masculine and feminine energy within you. And what is holding this together is your body. Even a woman and a man, when they come together, masculine and feminine, there's something holding them, love. So there's always be something that will hold the masculine and feminine energy together. That is what is ether. And God is love. So when this fire dissolve this, when this fire dissolve this ether, when this fire dissolve this void and gave birth, and water originated, that is the darkness, originated from the darkness, then there is a space in between where air can breathe. So this air now, there is a place where air was born. After this unification, that is where air was born. So the first element is fire. The first element is fire. In as much, if we are categorizing, the first element is fire, the second one is water, the third one is air. So earth is the last born. Earth grew from water. Earth grew from water when life began to produce. So before this physical body, life, there have been a light being and a being from water, darkness. So these two has a creature. So this creature, the light creature lives inside the light, and the dark creature lives inside this place. That's where the originated between light and darkness. And there is this thing. So I will go deep. This is about the elements. I don't want us to divert into. So earth grew from water. Earth grew from water. So let's discuss the principle. So earth grew from water. So when earth grew from water, that is when you now have the four, and everything is inside ether. Everything is being held inside ether. So that is just about the elements, about the element relational co-creation. So tomorrow we might end up exploring more about the gods as within, so without, as above, so below, the master of mind and ether, the great.